Am I wrong for calling a guy's mom when I was trying to get him to leave me alone and stop guilting me? I had what I thought was a casual thing with this guy named Adam for a month or so. But last week I said that I was going to move to a new state and he got pretty upset and said that he wanted to be with me. I said that I wasn't really trying to be with anyone. I don't want to spend my 20s like that. And he started getting really manipulative, even saying he couldn't live without me. That made me angry. I told him, "How the fuck did you get to 24 years old without me? How the fuck are you here now?" Wait, I'm gonna try it again. That made me angry. I told him, "How the fuck did you get to 24 years old without me? How the fuck are you here now then?" That's how I picture her saying it, because that's how I would say it. He said he had been really struggling before he met me, and I was the first thing that made him feel hopeful. This honestly felt weird to me because we haven't been emotionally open with each other. I thought we were just having casual sex, and it felt uncomfortable that he was seeming to say his mental health depended on continuing to have sex with me. It felt coercive and gross, to be honest, like he was guilting me into continuing to sleep with him. So I called his mom saying that I was worried about her son because I had a casual thing with him that I didn't think he was emotionally invested in and was about to leave for a new place. But he freaked out and said he couldn't live without me, and I felt worried that he would do something when I left. She seemed kind of weirded out that I was saying all of that. So to explain, I said that her son was telling me that if I left him, despite never being in a relationship with him, he couldn't go on, and I had to leave because I wasn't putting myself in that position of being with someone out of fear. So I needed her to check on him. She was like, "All right, I'll check on him," but still kind of seemed weird on the phone. I moved to my new home, but afterwards I got this long, furious text from Adam because he found out I called his mom. But he is really angry I told her that he was implying he would do something if I left him because he had not said that. I replied to him saying, "But that's literally what you said." And he told me he was just lashing out, being upset, and I didn't have to repeat it like it was serious. This manipulative piece of shit. See, like he was acting like that. This just shows that whole desperation act that these guys put on when you leave them. "If you leave me, I'm gonna." It's all bullshit. I told him not to say stuff like that if it's not serious, and he got angry asking if I had never exaggerated something when I was upset. I didn't reply. I didn't want to get pulled in, honestly. So, am I the asshole for calling this guy's mom? Jewelers of Reddit. How often do people tearfully return engagement rings? I've been in this business for over 10 years and I've sold enough engagement rings, and I really have no idea how many are out there at this point. Sooner or later, this is bound to happen. I've had it happen a few times, but here's the worst story. A couple comes in together, let's call them Mike and Stephanie. Mike is ready to spend about $20,000, which is a lot of money for a young couple, and I'm showing them rings in that range. But Stephanie keeps pushing for more and more and more. Finally, with enough begging, pleading, smiles, and thinly veiled sexual promises, she talks him into a 3-carat center diamond with an elaborate setting for around $30,000. Honestly, I don't feel great about having to witness this whole exchange, but at the end of the day, it's none of my business, so I complete the transaction. About 3 weeks later, Stephanie comes to my office alone. I assume she needs the ring resized or something, but instead she asked me if I can remove the center diamond and replace it with a cubic zirconia, a very cheap diamond substitute. I'm surprised, so I stammer, "Sure, but why? Are you traveling or something and don't want to risk the stone?" She responds that it's nothing like that, she just prefers to have the cubic zirconia in there for now. Obviously, every red flag in existence is waving in front of my eyes, and at this point I say, "Okay," and I take her ring. I tell her to come back in a day or two to pick up the ring with the cubic zirconia in it. But as soon as she's out of the door, I'm calling Mike. After all, he's the one who wrote me a $30,000 check, so he's my customer, not her. Mike picks up, and after a moment of small talk, I ask him if he knows what Stephanie is up to. "No," is a shocked response. Mike called me back the next day and told me that apparently Stephanie was planning to call off the engagement and return the ring, but keep the 3-carat diamond. He was obviously very upset and asked me if I could give him a refund. I offered my sympathy and gave him back his money. Needless to say, he was very grateful that I had called him. About 2 years later, Mike came back with another woman who I liked much better. They're happily married with 2 kids now. Mike and I have become friends, and he's probably referred me to 10 plus other customers over the years. As for Stephanie, after she left my office that day, I never saw her again.
Storytime about why my sister is probably worse than yours. So, a little background information: my sister and I were both 16 and in our sophomore year of high school. And yes, my sister and I were twins, but we were the complete opposite. She was a girly girl and I was a tomboy. But the summer before our sophomore year, we both got grounded because we were driving my dad's car without our license and we wrecked it. So we ended up spending all summer together, which was very unusual because it was like her and I were acquaintances living in the same house. Well, over that summer, we got super close and she ended up turning me into a girly girl. She taught me how to take care of my skin, do my hair, do my makeup, and how to dress. Now, mind you, once we got into high school, she never spoke to me because I wasn't a part of the little clique that she was in. So she was like, yay, you can finally hang out with my friends and I'm super excited. So school starts, I end up becoming friends with all of her friends, and my sister's really good friends with this one boy. But she had always said that she never liked him like that. So she introduced us, him and I started talking, and we both ended up liking each other. Like for part 2. Part 2 about why my sister is probably worse than yours. So like I said, my sister and I start school, I become friends with her friends, and she introduces me to this guy that she's been best friends with for a while. Him and I end up talking, I really like him, he really likes me, and my sister would always hype me up. She would be like, oh my god, you should get with him, he's such a nice guy, you guys would look so great together. So the one night he asked me if I wanted to go on a date with him, and of course I said yes, so I ran to my sister's room, I was so excited to tell her. So I knock on her door, I go in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, guess what? She's like, what? I'm like, he asked me out on a date, and she just sits there and stares at me. And when I ask her what's wrong, she's like, oh my god, you knew that I liked him, you're such a bad sister, I would have never done this to you. So then I started to feel bad, but then I didn't because I remembered how she used to hype me up. So the next day, a few hours before my date, she comes in my room. She's like, hey, I'm really sorry about how I acted yesterday. I would love to help you get ready for your date if you'll let me. I feel so bad. And we're sisters, so of course I get over it, and I tell her yes, I want her to help me, like for part 3. Part 3 about why my sister is probably worse than yours. So like I said, she asked me if I want help getting ready, I say yes, and my family's super Italian, so we have thick dark hair that grows in everywhere. Like I literally have a unibrow and the peach fuzz that's above my lips looks like a mustache. So my sister's like, hey, do you want me to wax your face? And I say yes. And she definitely wasn't over the situation and she wanted me to be in pain because I begged her to use this IPL device on me called U-Like, which was basically at-home laser hair removal but safer, and it did not hurt at all. So my sister hasn't had to deal with hair in literally months. So I begged her to use U-Like on me, and she's like, no, either you can let me wax you or you're going on this date with a mustache. So of course I gave in to her waxing my face. We go grab my mom's wax, which has probably been sitting in her cupboard for literally 6 years. My sister puts it in the microwave, and then I lay down on the kitchen table, and she goes to put the wax on me. I already knew this was going to be painful. As soon as the wax touched my skin, I literally started screaming, and she was like, stop being a baby, and she put more on me. I knock the container over, it gets all over me. When I get to the hospital, I figure out that I have 3rd-degree burns, and my sister did it on purpose.